There was once a young seeker and terribly disillusioned by life, and his father actually sends him to death. And so the young seeker approaches death, Yama, and death becomes his teacher. This is what we know as the Katha Upanishad, the very oldest teaching on yoga as a practice. So the very first teaching death gives him is this, that there are two paths. One path leads outward and the other inward. We choose which to walk. The path that leads outward will lead to pleasure. The path that leads inward will lead to grace. The latter path is the one that will lead to that transcendence, but it is concealed. And death goes on to say, each and every person, whether enlightened or an idiot, stands at this crossroad every moment of their lives. And it strikes me that we are at such a crossroad now as a human family. If ever there was a time when we could act as one, this is it. We can go with the knee-jerk reaction, which is let me protect me and protect my own. Let us protect our country. Let us close down everything that is not me. Or we could go with a more thoughtful, more contemplative response. Whichever one of these paths we take is going to determine the outcome for us as a human families. I'm sure this is happening in your country too. It's certainly happening here, that once a week we go out into the street or onto the balcony. We keep a safe distance from each other. Go out into the street or onto the balcony or just to our windows and clap and applaud our healthcare workers. And I'm sure that many of you are spending some time each day praying not just for the sick and the dying, but also for those caring for the sick and the dying. But in order for this not to be just a gesture, I think we need to do more than this. We need, as that prayer I chanted earlier from the Rig Veda says, we need to be resolved in our hearts to be as one spirit and to be in unity and accord. And that means, unfortunately, challenging some stuff in ourselves, each of us. Because now, more than ever, that path inward to grace will challenge the way our economic systems run and distribute wealth, assigning a whole lot of it to a few and much less to those that they leave vulnerable. Because now we are seeing what that vulnerability actually means. Many of those caring for the sick and dying, as nurses, as assistant nurses, as cleaners, as cooks in hospitals, are some of the poorest paid people in our society, not to mention the people delivering our mail still, picking up our garbage still. We have not placed any kind of financial value on this work. How can we applaud them, but say, let's return to a system where really we don't pay you that much? I don't know about where you are, but here in the UK, wildlife seems to be returning to our streets. Foxes are having a great time. In one Welsh village, all the goats that lived on a mountain noticed that the local town was empty, and they just went wandering around the town. I'm sorry if there's a noise. I have a few pigeons that are doing mating rituals on my roof. It's part of the wildlife returning. I noticed in the morning that the bird song is much louder than it has been for many years. So as we've become quieter and as we've vacated our streets, very quickly nature is jumping up. And so perhaps when we come out of here, one of the ways we will work in unity and accord is to say, enough of this treating the earth as a resource that can be exploited. Let's start treating it as that which is our life, which we must nurture. Here in the UK, 2 women a week are killed by their partners or ex-partners. This was before the lockdown. We're now hearing that domestic violence is going up enormously. And I'm sure that this is happening all over the world. Can we again please look at how we reconcile the genders and start having some real discussions about the gender equality in our different societies, in our different communities. And now I'm going to come to my controversial plea, and this is one that honestly comes from the bottom of my heart. Can I appeal to all leaders at this time to give up anything that would divide us? I kind of came of age in the 60s, and I did not at the time imagine a world with religious divisions like we have now. Can we come through this virus and just make a collective decision to stop doing whatever divides us? That much at least is in our hands. Can we really demand of our clerics and our religious leaders that they stop exploiting those differences for very petty gains? And I am asking proselytizing religions to please stop, because there is nothing like proselytization to create divisions in communities. I've seen it in India and I've seen it in Africa. Rather than trying to convert one another to our own point of view, really, could all of us just determine when we come out of this, we are going to respect and we are going to fiercely defend each other's right to our own diverse faiths, and protect each other's faiths as fiercely as we would protect our own. All of this, God knows, is going to require work. And certainly it's also going to require a lot of prayer. But if we really are to make this awful time have some meaning, this is the kind of work and prayer that we are going to have to give ourselves to. And in that way, this will be our resolution to live in a sense of oneness with one another, as one spirit in unity and accord. If we can do these things, then I think we will have walked the path of grace. But each of us has to begin with ourselves. Each of us has to decide for ourselves to be free of those divisions. And so I would really like to end by sharing with you my own meditation for this time, in which I really am questioning myself. So if everybody could get into a posture that's reasonably comfortable for you, and in which your spine can be comfortably erect, not with tension. So you can allow your gaze to rest on the floor, or you can close your eyes, whichever feels more comfortable for you. Just begin by feeling your contact with whatever you're sitting on, feeling the contact beneath your sitting bones, beneath your legs, beneath your feet. Take a nice deep breath in, and as you breathe out, please just let your weight go. Hold on to none of it. Let it go. Let it flow down through those points of contact, through whatever you're sitting on, through the floor, into the earth. Feel that solid earth beneath you. Feel that sense of its constant support. In one way, we are sitting on a giant rock, hurtling through space at unimaginable speed while it spins on its own axis. But this is not what we feel. What we feel is its solid support. Just allow your weight to release into that solid support and become aware of the whole space that your body occupies as you let your shoulders release and widen, the muscles at the back of your neck soften and lengthen, and your jaw soften and relax. Just sitting and aware that you are sitting. But we are not statues. We don't sit still. The body is moving. One of its movements is with breath. Abdomen, ribs, chest, expanding as cool air flows in, contracting as warm air flows out. Breathing and aware that you are breathing. Listening. We never close our ears. We listen. So you're not seeking out any sound. You're not trying to block out any sound. Just listening and aware that you are listening. Thinking. And aware that you are thinking, not trying to block out any thought, not following any thought, simply watching this stream of thought, knowing that behind that stream of thought rests something more vast than all that you are now aware of. In this stillness, I just want you to ask yourself a question and allow the answer to arise without making a dreadful judgment about it. What we are gaining about ourselves is awareness. And that question is, who is other to me? Who is other to me? Can this be a question that each of us takes into our day through this crisis? Is there anyone in this crisis that is other? And what do I do to expand my sense of self into that other? When you feel ready, just open your eyes, look around, look at your screen, look at each other. I'm not sure how much time I have left. There is a poem I wanted to read of Rabindranath Tagore. I'm not sure I have the time. And in case any of you have any questions, I'd like to take those. No, it's not that short. So let's go to the questions, please, if we can. So there is a question, what to do to connect with each other? Are there rituals? Certainly, I think every religion has rituals that allow a connection to each other. Um, and prayers that connect us to each other. But I think we need to engage in those in the stillness, but be prepared to enact them in the world, to be absolutely unaccepting and not participate in that which will separate us. The way I enact my oneness with the world is to not engage in anything that creates division. Um, we we are galvanized into division very easily. A
Mm.
few years ago, we were galvanized into division in this country in the Brexit vote, and we got sorry, we got these constant images on our television screens, in our newspapers, on the side of buses, of hordes of immigrants that were trying to get in here. So immediately an us and them division is created. And we have to ask ourselves, did I fall for it? It's very easy to fall for division. It's very easy to fall for whatever is being constructed at any one time and fed to us through a mass media. So I think part of what we have to do is stop that, is pause when we're being persuaded. Part of how we enact oneness in the world, when we're being persuaded they are other, even if it's another religion, that's another religion, that's not ours. We must say, nonetheless, I will stand with them against that which seeks to divide us. Do I have time for a very beautiful and uplifting story that is real, that happened recently?
We do. We have about 2 minutes left. Yeah.
Okay, quick story. A Jewish and Arab woman set up a farm in Israel at which Muslim and Jewish children went and worked for 6 months. It was a kibbutz. And they set it up together. One of the children was a young American Jewish boy who went back to Berkeley University, and there was to be a large meeting. It was a pro-Israel meeting, and he had gone to this meeting, and it happened to be raining, one of those rare days when the rain was tipping down. And um, he went into the meeting, and some people were laughing about the guy outside standing with the Palestinian flag. I'm going to cry when I tell this story, I always do. This boy who'd spent the 6 months on this kibbutz with Muslim boys went outside and stood in the rain with the Muslim boy who he did not know and held the Palestinian flag with him. That's the world I want to live in.